Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple Family or Special Major Dharma School Service. Sorry, I'm not sure which one today is, so. My name is Lisa Fujikawa, and I and my daughter Emma will be your MCs for this morning. We will begin the ringing of the temple bell or kansho that signifies the beginning of a temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat.
Please rise for the meditation followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7.
Today's sutra is Juseige in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 54.
가군 조세간 희시무조도 시간 부만석 세프조쇼각 가오무료코 후이다이세슈 후사이쇼뱅구 세이프조쇼각 가시조분도 묘쇼조지포 극교미쇼몬 세이프조쇼각 리역진쇼넨 조에슈홍교 금무조도 이쇼텐니 지니키엔다이코 후쇼무사이도 쇼조상금요 거사슈락군한 가이히치에겐 메시코모안 에소쿠쇼구도 수단센슈몬 고소조만석 이요료지포 니치간슈주키 텐코온 후겐 이슈카이호소 고세쿠도쿠호 조다이슈주 세포시시쿠 구요이사이붓 구소쿠슈도쿠혼 간네니 오만 덕구이상가이오 묘분무게치 수단니 부쇼 강가쿠에릭 도시사이쇼손 시간야코카 다이센 오칸도 고쿠쇼테님 도우지묘케 나만다부 가니시쿠
Please rise for the recitation of the Creed in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 4. Namo Amida Butsu.
Entrust yourself to me. I will liberate you just as you are. This is the calling voice of Amida. My blind passions are embraced in the Buddha's awakening. So the Buddha calls to me. I will liberate you just as you are. Gratefully responding to the Buddha's call, I find I am already on the path that leads to the Pure Land, and the Nembutsu flows freely from my thankful heart. It is due to the guidance of Shinran Shonin and successful spiritual leaders who have studied the teaching to us today. Living with the Dharma as my guide softens my rigid heart and mind. Gratitude for the gift of life I have received frees me from becoming lost in greed and anger, and allows me to share a warm smile and speak gentle words. Sharing in the joy and sadness of others, I will strive to live each day to its fullest. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please remain standing for the Gatha with these hands in the Praises of the Buddha book found on page 174. Please be seated. Our speaker for today is our member and the advisor of our state junior YBA, Mrs. Joy Nishida.
Hi, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time at the Bon Dance. I hope you got to recover a little bit. I hope it was successful. The pictures look great. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there. We had to DJ a wedding. Still have that side business. But anyway, thanks for having me speak today. I've been wanting to talk about some things that have been swirling in my head recently. But as you know, I can't get away from the cat topic, and it wouldn't be a joy talk without cats. So I found this super cute template. So I've entitled my message today, Living with Grief. So last year I turned 40. Neil and I turned 40. And so I found this really great quote by an American journalist and humorist, Helen Rowland. So life begins at 40, but so do fallen arches, rheumatism, faulty eyesight, and the tendency to tell a story to the same person 3 or 4 times. How many of us relate to that? Me included. So I was talking with my coworkers recently about, like, because we still remember being like the young teachers, and now we're like the middle-aged older teachers. I'm the oldest in my department, by the way, and I've been that for about 8 years. And so we've been talking about how, like, in our 40s we finally feel kind of content. We feel like we have a good handle on life, work, maybe the balance, the things we do, and different aspects of our lives. So, like, as a teacher, like, I finally know now, like, my strengths. Like, my strength as a high school teacher is I'm a really good underclassmen teacher, freshmen and sophomore, especially freshmen. They're the most challenging to teach in high school. They need the most discipline and structure. And not every teacher is like that, but I'm good at that. I'm good at consistency and structure and discipline, but I also am nurturing and compassionate and understanding. And so, like, I realize that now, and I hope that makes me a better and better teacher, because I want to teach the young ones, like I want to teach them to be more confident, and also, like, it's okay to fail, right? And, like, that we learn from our mistakes and failures. As a mentor, because as many of you know, I'm an advisor for Junior YBA, Junior Young Buddhist Association, and was in my group, and also Key Club, which is the youth organization of Kiwanis, which I'm also part of, Neil and I. So as a mentor, I feel that, like, I know now that my job is to teach our youth to be contributive members in their communities, and give back. In my own family, like, now that I'm at this age, and my mother and other relatives, like, I know my job is to be supportive, to aging and also ailing members of my family. And I'm more comfortable with that. And I can deal with that a little bit more than I did, before, in my 30s. And then spiritually, I think, like, I'm finally at this point where I've collected enough years that I can start making better connections with the Dharma. My mom used to always tell me that she would look up to her older cousins who were Hoibetsuin members, like how wise they were, because they were, older and they had all this experience and they had, all the things that you learn in church, but you don't really connect with it until you experience that. And so I feel like, I'm only starting that journey, right? Like 40 is the new beginning. I feel like now I'm starting to make those connections a little bit more. And so, and then as I age and I'm experiencing these inescapable realities of life, right? Like suffering and illness and death. And I feel like now I'm starting this new journey where I can try to come to terms with those things more. But I wanted to share about recently, this past July, as many of you know, I, not only myself, but friends of mine, experienced the loss, and my husband, the loss of these 3 special individuals, all within the same week in July. Bon Dance week, by the way. And, like, I'd experienced loss before, and there were times when it was hard, but I'd never experienced, like, loss so close, like, closely together and so acutely. Their deaths were all different for all different reasons, all unexpected for different reasons. And so I do feel that I've been processing that. And I think maybe 10 years ago, I don't think I thought about things like that, And so a Swiss psychiatrist, and you guys have seen this model, Kubler-Ross, introduced her 5-stage grief model in the book called On Death and Dying. I think many of us know that. And I've known about this because my first year of teaching, I had to get any job. I was at Castle High School, and I taught health, which is, by the way, a fabulous subject to teach, at least once. And so I had to teach this. I think it might have been depression, but it's kind of similar, yeah. And I don't think I didn't connect with it back then. And I don't think I really connected until, like, I started really thinking about it, especially after this past summer. And like, I was thinking like a checklist because I'm a teacher. Do you go down this? Do you just go down from stage to stage? And after you check off all the boxes, do you end up at acceptance and you're good to go? right? Like, those are the things, right? And the reality is it's not. And even like more recently, this psychiatrist now feels that this is not a linear process. I think so many people thought it was linear. Maybe they interpreted it, right, as linear, but it's not. And the reality is, like, not everyone experiences it. Not everyone experiences all of them. And sometimes you only get one or two. And so for me, like, I realized I'm going back and forth between them. Just even the other night, we had a Kiwanis event, and we were doing a remembrance for Craig, and I got very emotional, right? And it's been so many months. And so that kind of thing just reminds me that that's not a linear process. You can go in and out of it, and it happens at any time. And so I think, though, like, still in the process, I still feel like I want to get down to acceptance. Like, I want to get to the end. Like, my students always want to know, what's the answer to the problem? Just tell me the answer, miss, right? How can I get over this? What's the answer? And I guess that's the natural tendency, because we don't like to suffer. So speaking of suffering, samsara, it actually, look, I was looking at the grief model, and it actually reminded me of samsara, which I had to do a lot of research on. And these are words that I've grown up hearing, and this is only some things that I put together for you. You should always do your own research in the future. But samsara is this continuous cycle of life and death and rebirth. And of course, there's other things. Our sect is different than other Buddhist sects. There's different things about rebirth. And at the heart of this cycle is nirvana. And then, as stated from I'm quoting my sources like I always tell my students, Mountain View Buddhist Temple's website, nirvana is not a geographic state somewhere out there, but is the world around us, if we have the awakened eyes to see it, or the heart and mind to sense it. So the grief model reminded me about this process. One might say that nirvana or enlightenment or true entrusting, which Shinjing, are like the end of the cycle, like acceptance, but it could be a lot of things, right? The whole cycle itself is also representative of nirvana. So to make another connection, because I always want to bring in my favorite cat into my talks, Nori. So, by the way, update, we got her a new and improved litter robot 4. And if litter robot's listening, you guys should, if you have cats, you should get it. It's expensive, but it's worth it. Thank you, John. John got it. So I've come up with a similar cycle of suffering. So I call it Nori's cycle of poop. Thanks, Neil, for helping me with this one a little bit. So here's her cycle: hunger, eating, pooping. And then I think dogs do this too, post-poop zoomies. That's what I hear, right? Cats do it also. So it's easy to focus on the good stuff, like eating. And then the zoomies are kind of funny too, right? You see all these cat videos. But we have to remember that each stage is impermanent. So eating eventually leads to pooping or throwing up if you have hairballs. Yeah, that happens a lot. And then post-zoomies, which are fun and stuff, that just leads to cat litter all over my bed and my house that I have to clean up. So I think it's most important just to be aware that eventually each phase passes, or maybe we come back to it. It's a circle, right? That we should be grateful, like instead of frustrated and sad and whatever, we should be grateful for the opportunities that each phase brings us. Whether it's the anticipation of eating, and then you eat, and then you're satisfied, or just the satisfaction of pooping, especially after you've been holding it, okay? And appreciate these aspects just as much as the bliss that comes after, whether that's nirvana or zoomies. My best friend Neil would also like to add that we shouldn't be afraid of pooping, because holding in our poop just causes attachments and more suffering. You're welcome. In a December 2021 article, BCA Bishop Marvin Harada related samsara, which he called the perspective of ignorance and delusion, to nirvana, perspective of truth or enlightenment. So, it's very small on my screen. Buddhism, here's a quote. Buddhism is trying to awaken us, first to the fact that we are living in these 6 realms of existence constantly in our life. We could touch 2 or 3 realms even in 1 hour. That is why we need the teachings. That is why we need the Dharma, to show us the way we are living our lives, going around and around this vicious cycle like a squirrel running on a revolving wheel, but never getting anywhere. So this talk is not about the 6 realms of existence. That'll be another talk. Reverend Barbara can talk about that. But it's still this whole cycle. It's still this whole vicious cycle of suffering, yeah. And the Dharma can help us be aware of this cycle. Aware, that's the key word. And instead of being lost in sadness and frustration and grief, we can find moments of happiness, gratitude, and appreciation, and focus on those aspects, which are more important. So earlier I mentioned that as we age, we gain more perspective on things because we've observed more experiences in our lives. So as cat owners know, observing the subtle signals of a cat helps them understand how their cat's feeling. So this is a good lesson for you dog people, okay? And that's Mochi. And as in, like, you know, this is life, right? Mochi is quite a bit older. The cat people will know he doesn't look super great, but you know, that happens, right? Aging and illness happens. But he's still alive, and in that picture he's eating, and he's happy. So, you know, these are the subtle things that cats tell you. So if their ears, you know, depending on which way their ears are, sometimes they're really snobby, and you talk to them and they turn their ears away from you. Actually, that's not really snobby, but the one that's telltale is the airplane ears, as we call it. Airplane ears, like this. So airplane ears means that they're aloof. You gotta watch out. Yeah, they're kind of anxious. And then, like, you know, their mouth, are they meowing? Are they telling, you know, are they trying to get your attention? Their whiskers are a big one. You know, things like if it's facing forward, I think they're feeling kind of, they're interested. They're, again, like alert. I'm sorry, forward is friendly, back is not. So forward is fine, back is like, because they're kind of pulled in, kind of like the airplane ears. So when you see a cat and their whiskers are hugging their face, watch out. They're irritated. And then paws and claws, those are obvious, right? And then, of course, their tail is another one. If their tail is like this, it's opposite of a dog. Leave them alone, give them their space. If their tail is straight but the ends are flicking, they're happy. Yeah, just the ends are happy. And if their tail is not moving anywhere, they're cool, they're chill. When Nori is really relaxed and sleepy, her tail makes a swirl. And I couldn't find that picture, but one day I'll show you guys. It's literally like a spiral. But so we can do the same observation of ourselves to help us understand how we're coping. At least this is for me, my motto. So, like, for the ears, am I listening to myself, like what I'm thinking, you know, what I'm doing, what I'm saying to others? Am I listening to others around me and what they're telling me or advising me or helping me or whatever? You know, me speaking, how am I expressing myself to others? How am I coming across? Especially like when you're really upset, right? Everyone can tell because you come across like that. What do others see in my actions? I pointed that to the whiskers, it's a little bit of a stretch, but you know, my actions or my inactions. What does that tell about me? What actions can I take or not do? You know, they always say, like, don't write an email when you're angry, or write the email and trash it, you know, things like that, right? Like being aware of our actions. And then, am I keeping my emotions in check? That's the tail. And that's an important one, especially now, and because I work with adolescents, it's a really, really important thing these days. So, going back to the title of my talk, Living with Grief, how am I living with my grief? I try to focus on the day, on today. How am I feeling now? If I'm not well, how can I get to a better place? And if I'm good, how can I show that I'm grateful for this moment? So these are the things that kind of always go through my head now. So, my takeaways, in conclusion, I've three. Sorry, it's very small there. So impermanence, so these cycles that we experience, whether it's samsara or the poop cycle or the grief, these cycles are not forever. And we might eventually escape, we might not. But the main thing is that we give it time and we keep working towards it. The second is always gratitude. Even while we're stuck on this hamster wheel of suffering, kind of like that bit, there are always moments of happiness and contentment. And those are the ones we got to focus on. And then lastly is awareness, being aware that these cycles of suffering, being aware of it is realizing the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha is for everyone. And because of that, we're okay. And with that, can we put our hands together in Gassho? When foolish beings of delusion and defilement awaken Shinjin, they realize that birth and death is itself nirvana. Without fail, they reach the land of immeasurable light and universally guide sentient beings to enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you for listening to my message.
Thank you, Auntie Joy. Please rise for the Gatha on this morn and in the praises of the Buddha book on page 119, and continue to stand for the Nembutsu on page 135 in the red Jodo Shinshu service book.
addition, we express our gratitude for all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion in this unrepeatable life by placing our palms together, bowing our heads, and saying, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda.
Okay, thank you. We'll now have announcements.
Good morning, everybody. Actually, Dennis was supposed to do announcements, but he's not here today. Anyway, so I'm chosen. Thank you, everyone who helped with the Bon Dance yesterday at the Windward Mall. We couldn't have done it without you. You know, it was so crowded, and it was a huge, huge success, I'm sure, for the Windward Mall, and also a success for us. Because we had the sales area, we had the andagi area in the back cooking, so everything was fresh, you know, coming into our booth. But all of our food sold out. In fact, it sold out in, what was it, hour and a half? I mean, wow, we were bombing, you know? And then the food sold out, all of it. And our merchandise, you know, it sold also. But it was a really exciting event. Thank you very much. And there are some photos there. Yeah. You can see yourselves. So anyway, thanks. And then the other item is, it's bingo day today. Bingo. So don't forget, after service, we go next door, you grab your food, and we'll have bingo. Okay, Prudence?
Good morning. Yeah, I was telling Reverend Barbara, we should have canceled service today.
Reverend Bird said that last week.
But that's okay, next year.
Next year.
I want you to know we have a guest, Mel Hayase. He's sitting right in the second row. He's from Mililani. Nice to have you. I have two announcements. The program committee also covers social concerns, and that's my kuleana. So, two things that's coming up. As part of the Honolulu district, the 4 temples are participating in this year's Honolulu Pride Parade, and that is scheduled for Saturday, October 21st. And the parade starts from Magic Island, goes all the way to Kapiolani Park. Now, for some of us, you know, we can't walk that far. I mean, there's no bus. They're not providing us that. So I was teasing Dennis, and I said, we should do a relay. You know, you do the first leg, and I'll meet you at International Marketplace, and I'll take off from there, you know? Or better yet, if I do it, I think I'll have Alan drop me off, and then he can wait at International Marketplace, and I'll cut out from there. But anyway, if you've never been to that parade, please plan to join us. I'll hang this instruction up on the board. So the 4 temples in the Honolulu district will be participating. So if we can get some of us to go, and of course, it's the day before our Sunday service. And I think Moilili uses this logo, so some of the people will be wearing, I guess, shirts or whatever made with this. So if you do participate, wear your Windward Buddhist Temple t-shirt so that they know we're part of Windward, okay? The second thing is, I think it was last year when they didn't have a Martin Luther King parade, we were invited by the group to, well, they asked us whether we would be the Windward drop-off point for what they were going to do in lieu of the parade, and it was to collect food for the Hawaii Food Bank, and also to collect period goods for an organization that I hadn't heard of before. It's called the Ma'i Movement. And the Ma'i Movement was developed by 3 local women, and they were concerned that there were a lot of homeless women and young girls. When you're homeless, you don't have access to period products. And some of the children weren't going to school because in the schools weren't providing free products either. So they got together, and now they support or they provide these kits to a lot of schools and other organizations and homeless shelters throughout the state. And so they have a program where they are asked people to make a Ma'i care kit. Ma'i, by the way, in Hawaiian means sick, ill, or menstruating in Hawaiian. And so I decided that as part of our social concerns, we do one project in April, and we've been doing that for the past, 3-4 years. We help the Kailua care events provide lunch every month to the homeless in Kailua. And so Windward has been taking the month of April. So we prepare lunch, or we buy lunch, and we deliver it to the YMCA, Windward YMCA, and that's where the homeless gather. And it's a really good program. So we do that in April. So I thought in October, we would participate with the Ma'i project. I guess as women, and you recall when you were young, you know how embarrassing it is if you don't have the right things. So this is the kit that they want us to make. And so I'm asking for people to help me put these packs together after service on the 22nd. And I'll set it all out here. We'll just do it assembly style, and it shouldn't be hard. So at least I think it serves the woman or the girl for 1 month. So we'll have this, and if anybody can help put these together, I'll have everything here after service on Sunday. Okay? So I would appreciate your help with that. And I think Merle has something she wanted to announce.
So Everly and Jet want to thank all of you that supported them for their school Liho Liho's fundraiser. And the items were all brought yesterday, and they're in the refrigerator. So if you've purchased something, please come and see me in the storeroom refrigerator. They're all bagged with your name on it. And please take it home today. Thank you so much.
Okay, just one more thing. Either Reverend Barbara or Prudence, do you know anything about the Zoom broadcast for the virtual? Okay, oh, Joy.
So next week Sunday is a fifth annual virtual state Dharma school gathering. And so if for some reason you can't make it to church, you can always log in on your own. But what we're gonna do is, there's a Dharma school teacher portion that's from 8:45 to 9:45, but from 10 to 12, they have this program. So I think, so after service, we're gonna put it up, yeah, up in the room. So from 10 to 10:30 will be an intergenerational service and a Dharma message by Bishop Umitani. And then they have for an hour, they'll do these breakout rooms. The Dharma school students have their own breakout rooms. Emma's going to be a facilitator in one of the rooms. We can't be in those rooms, that's for the kids. But there will be an adult room, which I'm pretty sure we can drop into and have a discussion, but it's going to be a little different because it's not like we can individually talk or anything, but I think we'll figure that out. And then at 11:30, if you're still around, because you can come in and out, they come back to the big room, and then the Dharma school kids share out. It's kind of cute. They usually have them do like a little Jamboard thing, sharing, this is like as young as kindergartners up to high schoolers. And so each breakout room does a quick share out. It's real fast, and then they tie it up and it's done. So you're welcome to attend next week. Watch and then support Emma.
So Reverend Barbara, do you have anything? Okay. Okay, it's ready. It's time to eat. But before we go over there, we have to do the words of thanksgiving. So please join me. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we have. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.